Everyone's quiet.
Really quiet. It's just.
All right, let's call to order the Sparks City Council meeting for Monday, October 14th with a roll call.
Mayor Lawson.
Here.
Council members Abbott.
Here.
Vanderwell.
Here.
Anderson.
Here.
Bybee.
Here.
Dare.
Here.
Acting City Attorney Bishop.
Here.
City Manager Louthen.
Here.
We have a quorum. Thank you.
Okay, now let's move on to our invocation with Pastor Chonda Nunes Henry.
God, we come before you with grateful hearts for all that you have given to each of us and how you have blessed our beloved city. We thank you for our mayor and the city manager, for every staff member, for each council person and the constituents they represent. We ask for your wisdom to be with them today as they conduct the business. May they be reminded of the duty they have to the people of Sparks. May they conduct business with a spirit of cooperation and humility, and may we do the same. We seek your guidance today, and we thank you for hearing our prayer. Amen.
I'm going to deviate a little bit to, we lost one of our board members for the Board of Health, and John Novak, and Christopher has a few words he wants to say about him.
Thank you, Mayor. As we begin today's meeting, I just want to take a moment to honor the life and service of John Novak, passed away on September 25th. John served our city in many ways and our region. He was a Rotarian. That's one thing he did just as a community partner, but he was even a volunteer for the Sparks volunteer department for a little while. But then where he brought a lot of his years of pediatric dentistry experience to the health board, and he was also one of our longest serving board members. He and his wife gave much of their time during COVID. Matter of fact, just volunteered it down there during those years and helped so much. He'll be missed, and I know this is, his sickness came on very quickly, and he passed very quickly. So we could just have a 30 seconds of silence or a moment of silence. That'd be fantastic. Thank you so much.
Okay, Ms. Bybee, will you lead us in the pledge?
I will. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Thank you, Pastor. All right, let's move on to public comment. I only have one card. Ray? Ray, you didn't give me a last name. You can call yourself whatever you want.
All right.
We don't check ID or anything.
I just want to commend staff and the city council for bringing Trader Joe's to City Sparks. I'm really looking forward to it. I don't have to go to Reno anymore. They got two before we got one. I remember a few years ago when there was a prankster that put up for April Fools coming soon. So I want to say this April I'm going to put up coming soon Apple Store and maybe a Williams Sonoma. But I'm looking. I prefer not to shop in Reno, so I'm really looking forward to trading at Trader Joe's. Thank you.
I like your patriotism. All right. Anyone else in the city of Sparks? Or, excuse me. Is there anyone else in the city of Sparks today? Besides me. Anyone else in the public wishing to speak at this time? Seeing none, we'll bring it back. Looking for approval of the agenda. Let me get on the right computer page here. Mr. Anderson.
I move to approve the agenda as submitted.
Mr. Dare.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Yes.
So yours has one? Mine's not either. I got the motion and second.
You don't have a vote?
No, I don't have a vote either. Some of them do. Have to. I got Christopher does.
Paul has one.
Paul has one. Donald does.
Meeting restarted.
Plug it in and Unplug it and plug it back in?
Yeah.
Always works.
There you go.
Listen, I don't either.
Anybody else? Who else?
Thanks.
Charlene?
You just rearrange all your life for me so I can sit in here.
Somebody got the Jeopardy song?
There you go.
There
You're
you
awesome.
go.
Thank you.
Now you can vote.
No,
And any further discussion? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. Let's move on to minutes. Looking for approval of minutes or any additions or subtractions? Ms. Vanderwell,
Move to approve the minutes of the Sparks City Council meeting for September 23rd, 2024.
Ms. Bybee.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. 7.1, presentation by Northern Nevada Community Housing Truckee Heights Apartments Solar Installation Project. Amy Jones, my favorite housing specialist. Don't know any other ones, but she's my favorite.
Good afternoon, Mayor Lawson, members of council. And as you will recall, earlier, awarding $1,000 to Nevada Community Housing for the purpose of installing solar apartments and affordable housing complex here in Sparks. The grant agreement required that Northern Nevada Community Housing provide a presentation to the City Council 90 days after the funds had been expended. Matthew Fleming, the Executive Director of Northern Nevada Community Housing, is here today to provide you that update on the project, and I will turn it over to Matthew.
Well, thank you very much, Amy. I appreciate you, and good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me. And first of all, thank you very much for the grant opportunity here. We at NNCH develop and manage affordable housing here in Washoe County, as well as in Carson City. Our primary focus is to serve veterans and their families, especially those that are disabled or are struggling with homelessness. The Truckee Heights project, if you recall, had its grand opening last August. It is 40 units. They are 1 and 2 bedrooms, serving households that are 60, 50, and 30% of area median income. And as I referenced before, we have a veteran preference to this property. Currently, it is housing up to 96% veterans, and it has been very, very successful for those families. This photograph is a little entertaining. We thought we would add it again, but this is just a rendering that we received from the carport solar manufacturer to give us some type of visual for you all to see. I can guarantee you those cars will not be parked at the facility. But the carport array is an accurate depiction of what it will look like, other than the city had asked us to have it painted black. As you can see here, per the site plan, this is where the future carport array will be located. We do currently have a very sizable array on the roof. This added real estate will offset the energy consumption to those residents by more than 45%. We go on the low end because we don't want to promise more than we can deliver. But we do, on average, with our projects, see typically with this size of array, a 60 to 70% offset to the consumption to the residents. What this does for our organization is it allows us to not pass on those rate hikes that we see are coming soon to the residents. We single meter our property, and so we can maintain lower rents and they don't have to pay their utility bills. To add to our ability to control that consumption, we utilize programmed thermostats so that they cannot just run the air conditioner or the heater 24/7. If they have a reasonable accommodation, we will consider that with a doctor's note to either increase cooling or increase heating for each tenant that resides there. Obviously, these provide carport coverage for the vehicles, and it also adds an additional lighting security component without having the lighting go up in the air and mess with our starlight. So all good things here for the residents at the property. Currently, we have purchased the array, and it is being stored at the facility of Simple Power. That is our solar vendor. And in my opinion, they're the best here in Northern Nevada, and we love supporting our local businesses, especially those here in Washoe. We also have purchased and are storing the carports as well. The major delay for us has been the engineering structural group who's doing the structural engineering per the permit requirement has had some delays recently due to the hurricanes. They are located in Florida, unfortunately. But the good news is, as of today, we did receive those drawings. They are wet stamped, and we are submitting those to city staff in the permitting department so that we can move forward. The remaining cost for the entirety of the system is roughly $185,000. That amount is what our nonprofit is committed to pay to see the full array being constructed to the permit that we're requesting. So we're putting our skin in the game to ensure that this grant opportunity is maximized for the benefit of not only the tenants and their rents, but also, frankly, for the reduction in carbon emissions and to protect our community's beauty. With that, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to each and every one of you for supporting a local nonprofit who develops affordable housing for our veteran population. And I just want to say thank you, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, question from the council. Ms. Spivey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hey, Matt, so understandable with the delay, what do you anticipate or what is your hope for the carports to be installed and in use? What timeline are you looking at now?
Well, I have to be careful because I've already stuck my foot in my mouth the last time I promised a date. So I will say that we are encouraged and praying and hoping that November we will have this constructed. That is per the permit process. We do need to see that through and scheduling with the residents and having a construction and parking plan in place. But we do anticipate having this being completed by the end of this year. Yeah.
Okay, anyone else? All right. I do like the vehicles. Big fan of those.
I'd love a Ducati myself, but I can't afford that.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
All right, 7.2, Boards and Commission Vacancy Announcements, Sparks Arts and Culture Advisory Committee. Who's going to present this? Dion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Sparks Arts and Culture Advisory Committee has 3 vacancies for terms ending November 1st, 2026. These vacancies are for 1 visual arts representative, 1 performing arts representative, and 1 humanities representative. Applicants must be a Washoe County resident, have a full understanding of being an arts advocate, have 5 years or more experience as an arts advocate, be forward-thinking in programming of the arts, have prior experience on a nonprofit or government board. Application for this position will be accepted until Friday, October 18th at 5 p.m. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Move on, 7.3, Proclamation Stormwater Pollution Awareness Month. Do we have anyone here for this? Come on down. Have a seat in those 2 chairs right there, and we're going to have you speak to the millions of people that watch this on YouTube.
All right. Yeah, we go read first?
Yep.
Whereas polluted stormwater runoff discharged into rivers, lakes, and streams can result in the death of wildlife, destruction of vital ecosystems, and contamination of drinking water resources, and disruption of recreational activity. And whereas the Clean Water Act of 1972 prohibits the discharge of any pollutant to navigable waters of the United States unless authorized by the Environmental Protection Agency. And whereas a major source of pollutants in the navigable waters of the United States is polluted urban and suburban stormwater runoff that flows directly into rivers, lakes, and streams untreated, threatening public health. And whereas the common sources of stormwater pollution are sediments, automotive chemicals, litter and debris, household hazardous chemicals, and yard and pet waste. And whereas it is imperative that these pollutants be prevented from entering stormwater runoff along Nevada's roadways, and where Stormwater Pollution Awareness Month provides an opportunity to encourage greater efforts in the city of Sparks and across Nevada to reduce stormwater pollution, therefore Ed Lawson, Mayor of the City of Sparks, does hereby proclaim October 24th as Stormwater Pollution Awareness Month. And the people cheer on.
Give us your name for the record and what you do.
Cody McDougall, City Sparks Environmental Control Supervisor. Yaden Sturdivant, Environmental Control Officer.
Thing to add?
Thank you for making that a priority. Like I said, it's imperative that stormwater management and pollution prevention is key to maintaining a healthy storm drain system and protecting our waterways. So, like to see that as a priority. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for what you do also.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say real quick, as a region, we have different boards we serve on, that this is an ongoing conversation. So the work you do is actually hands-on. So thank you. I know we get to be in conversation and see the numbers, but the work you guys do is hands-on, and it really does make a difference. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. All right, let's move. Oh. Rob Beadar. Okay, let's move on to consent items. Anyone wishing to pull a consent item? If not, I am looking for a motion. Mr. Anderson.
I move to approve consent items 8.1 through 8.3.
Ms. Vanderwell.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. General business, 9.1. Mr. Driscoll, you want to come down here and have a seat in the front row for me, please? Consideration, discussion, and possible appointment of Steve Driscoll to the Northern Nevada Public Health Board of Health for a partial term ending in December 31st of 2026. You going to present this, John?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As Councilman Dare let us know today, Dr. John Novak passed away. He was our non-elected representative on the health board. Sad day that he's gone. And as such, we need to have a replacement. The mayor has recommended someone we all know, sitting over my right shoulder, Mr. Driscoll. If agreed to by the council, Steve's term would run through December 31st of 2026, and he would represent all of us at the health board.
Okay. Any questions from the council? This was a suggestion by Mr. Abbott that I reach out to Mr. Driscoll, and I know that he'll do a great job representing the city of Sparks as he did for all the years he worked here and was city manager. So Steve, come on up. And when we're going to take this vote, I'm looking for a motion. Ms. Spivey.
I move to appoint Steve Driscoll to the Northern Nevada Public Health Board of Health for a partial term ending December 31st, 2026.
Mr. Abbott.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none.
Oh, I'd like to just make a quick comment.
Okay, go right ahead.
I would agree with you, Mr. Mayor. I think that Steve will serve in this capacity really well. I think your number of years with the city before you were city manager, you have a lot of history that will help in the capacity with the health board, and Sparks needs a strong voice along with Councilman Dare on that board. And I think you're going to bring tremendous amount of knowledge and and take care of business for the city of Sparks. I'm excited to have you serve in this capacity.
Yes, I just want to, I'll reiterate that as well. We actually spent many time together at the health board. You always sat out there, but I'm excited to have you up and serving, and you do bring a lot of background. A lot of times people don't realize how many boards we all serve on, and this is one that's crucial to our area. So thank you for stepping up during this time.
And I just announced that the motion passed unanimously. Okay, now, do you have anything else? So you made it by the skin of your teeth. No, I called Steve last week and he said, can I have a minute to think about this? And I'm sure he went back and talked to his lovely wife, and Carol said, you can't pass this up, and here you are. So thank you very much. Thank you, Carol, for loaning us your husband again for a while. You have anything you want to add?
No, just I really appreciate the support and I appreciate being asked to help. Having been involved with the health department, both as the assistant and the city manager, and going through some of the big issues of the time, which are the REMSA contract, the fire service going to paramedics, having those topics were really critical for Sparks citizens. And so I just appreciate the mayor asking me to help, and so I'll do the best I can to help our community.
Okay. Anyone else? Mr. Rabbit?
Just want to say thank you, Mr. Driscoll, for volunteering to come back and help out the city. And obviously, I know in your retirement, you've made some great steps too for your own health. That the 10,000 steps a day. I know you guys are keeping it going. Just appreciate all the all those years of service you did, and I'm excited that you guys both agreed to be back on the team in Sparks and continue to help our citizens.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Then I just want to ask Chief White if you'll reach out to Steve and you guys share some knowledge with each other. Thank you, sir. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, 9.2, consideration, discussion, of possible approval of a donation of $25,000 to the Life Change Center to support their mission and objectives. Chief?
Good afternoon, Mayor Lawson. For the record, I'm Chris Crawforth, your police chief. Sitting next to me is John Firestone, the executive director of the Life Change Center. I'm before you today with a possible donation of $25,000 to the Life Change Center. I would like to show a video that was created by our city attorney that many of you have seen, but I wanted to share it with our millions of masses that are watching us. I think it really fits with what we're doing here today in conjunction with our communications manager and staff, as it portrays why the Life Change Center is so important and so critical to our community. With your permission, I'll hit play.
Hit play.
All right. Maybe. This is going to be the test. Here we go.
Like, if you're doing fentanyl, you might as well be playing Russian roulette. For real. Like, that's exactly what you're doing. You're playing Russian roulette with your life.
Like, I cannot express adequately with words how powerful fentanyl is. I took a hit. It was a real quick. That's when I overdosed. They told me that they injected me with 4 doses of Narcan. The first one didn't work. The second one did not work. Third didn't work. Fourth one didn't work, and then my heart stopped. There's 23 minutes of my life that I was out. I was not existing in this world anymore. If you think you're above being addicted to fentanyl, I think you're wrong. I know you're wrong. I think it's a matter of time before you will die.
I'm in my early 20s. I have a great job. I'm going to college. I'm going to have a great career one day. I'm just experimenting, right? Now I'm using meth, right? I'm staying up all night. I'm in the casinos. I'm stealing. There is no such thing as recreational drug use anymore. So any single time that you pick up any substance, there is the potential that there's fentanyl in there.
My daughter, Kirsten Yamaoka, she's beautiful, smart, talented, educated. We searched for her for 5 days. She was in her car in Idlewild Park by herself. So yes, She did die March 1st, 2017. It was her birthday. She was 21. And she was all alone.
The phrase "one pill can kill" is 100% accurate. We got a call for an unresponsive male. There was nothing that we could do as medical responders. His heart had stopped, he had no brain activity, and he was a 25-year-old man. When you looked at him, he was strong, he was healthy, he had a family, he had all the things ahead of him, and it was a mistake. The pill looked exactly like a real Vicodin. It was the same color, it was the same shape. All of the different things out there that could get you high could potentially be laced with this super strength fentanyl, and any ingestion of it could be fatal to you.
Over the last 5 years, we've had many encounters with fentanyl, to the point where I've had an encounter almost every time I come to work. The most notable one for me is a very young man at a house party. His buddies gave him some drugs to relax, as far as I had been told, one of the first times. And he experienced an overdose, and he had a prolonged downtime. We very quickly recognized signs and symptoms of a fentanyl overdose, rapidly administered Narcan and provided immediate aid. And we were able to get, to resuscitate him to the point where he was breathing again, but he had sustained non-recoverable brain damage from being down for that period of time. Fentanyl has infiltrated every level of our community. It takes less than 8 minutes for a healthy individual, a healthy young person, to sustain permanent brain damage.
Last December, I was the paramedic on an apparatus in Sparks that responded to a 10-month-old, had a pulse, but was not breathing at that time. We noticed the baby was showing some signs of a narcotic opioid overdose. So at that point, we gave Narcan to the child. The baby was starting to wake up and breathe on its own and had an active cry. Blood tests showed that the 10-month-old did in fact have fentanyl, meth, and methadone in its system.
I never thought it would happen to me. Like as a kid, I was like, oh, those people are not like me. I'll never do that. I'll never even like touch it. That's disgusting. And then like I was one of those people, like walking down the street with a backpack, like with no money in my pocket, trying to get food, like, and just doing a lot of stuff that I never thought I'd do.
He really hid it from us well, and he was way worse than we even could imagine.
Mm-hmm. And it started with pot and drinking. Cannot even believe that it escalated the way it did. And then the next thing we knew, he was getting in big trouble where the cops were getting called and he was being arrested.
There's a lot of times I wanted to die, and like I didn't care what happened to me. Nobody's really safe, so the only thing to do is stay away from everything. Like it's not cool to do drugs.
Hello, I'm Sparks City Attorney Wes Duncan. As you've heard from these heartbreaking stories, fentanyl overdoses are destroying our communities. And because fentanyl can be laced into so many other drugs, and not just pills, the chances of encountering a potentially lethal dose has greatly increased. If you're a parent, you must be talking to your kids about the dangers of fentanyl. If you think that this can never happen to your child, you are wrong. If you're a young person, I'm asking you to please don't risk your life by taking drugs. Fentanyl is everywhere. If you're at a party or with friends and they have offered you any illegal substance, a pill, something to smoke, snort, inject, or take in any way, please don't risk your life. If you think you are taking a safe drug and you can't overdose, the stories in our community tell you otherwise. Fentanyl is dangerous, and your life means too much to take that risk.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, as you're aware, the Nevada Attorney General has filed lawsuits against several drug companies for their involvement in the opioid epidemic, which has led to several settlements. The City Attorney's Office has been involved in each one of those, which has resulted in the funding that is behind this donation. As part of each settlement, portions are annually sent to all of the communities in our state. There are specific guidelines that identify how the funds can be utilized, primarily dedicating those funds to services that will aid in the fight against this epidemic. The Life Change Center has been addressing these issues for decades in our community, and I know we all appreciate their dedication and contributions to our region. If approved, this donation will aid them in continuing to provide these critical services. And before we move on, with your permission, I'd like to pass it on to Mr. Firestone for some comments.
Please.
First, I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I've been doing this for 25 years, and it's looked a lot different. I mean, it looked in many ways. They talk about fentanyl. That was a wonderful video, by the way. Fentanyl is, for those of you that don't know, 50 times the strength of heroin. I mean, how did that happen? It's so dangerous, and it's really changed the landscape of things. It's brought us all together, I think, for this cause. We've never seen anything like it. Currently, we're losing 4 people a week in Washoe County to a fentanyl overdose. Hard to compare, it really is. And believe it or not, in that horrific statistic, there's actually good news, and this is something I really wanted to share with you. For 20 years, we've seen an increase in overdose in our county, in our cities. 20 years. The last 1 year and 3 months, we've seen a steady decrease. And while we're still losing 4 people a week, we were losing 6. And those 2 people make a difference. You could talk to the lady that was talking about the loss of her daughter. 2 people a week less are dying right now, and I'm just really thrilled. Again, it's just such a wonderful thing that one of the things I want to make sure, the Life Change Center didn't do that. Our city did that. You guys did that. We all did it together. We have a role in it. I think we had a role in it, but I know you guys did too, and I want to thank you for this opportunity.
You. Anyone on the council? Mr. Dare?
Yeah, it's the first time I've seen the video. I know this is out there, and it was definitely heart-touching to see that. You know, one of the things we try to do is we try to invest in all the safety components that we can, but the one area that we can't stop is what is happening inside the homes or what people are doing to themselves. And I just want to reiterate, say thank you for the work you do. Thank you to our police and fire. But if you're a parent out there and all the people listening, please, as you heard our attorney say, talk to your kids. Drugs are very serious, and anything, whether it's legal, illegal, they can be laced by things. And so what a strong message. So continue to do the work you do, and I appreciate the work you do very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Anderson?
Same thing. I just want to say thank you for the work you're doing. You're making a difference in our community. I appreciate that. Chief, I appreciate you bringing this forward to us. And likewise, Julie and the team did a great job to help put this together with the city attorney's office. So thank you very much for the teamwork on it.
Ms. Vanderwell?
I'm going to say ditto to what everybody said, but John and I have known each other for a few years and everything else, and I commend you for all the hard work that Life Change Center does and that you do with your leadership. It's so greatly appreciated, and I know this is just a small portion, but you do great work. And I want to thank the chief for bringing this forward to help the Life Change Center out, because it's going to help with moving this forward. So I greatly appreciate it.
Ms. Bybee?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Firestone, I took a tour, some of us did, a couple of years ago of your facility, and I was almost embarrassed to say that I really had no idea that you were there. I mean, and I didn't realize the amazing work you're doing right here in the city of Sparks, right on Sullivan, right? And really getting to see an in-depth look of your services, your programming, your counselors, your all the wraparound services that we need for homeless, but we need for to combat this drug issue. And it's terrifying, I think, just for most of us to look at the fentanyl issue and to look at the amount that is just pouring in everywhere, southern border, every city, every town. There's nobody immune from fentanyl. And like the video said, I mean, one pill, one time, and you don't know, where it is or how dangerous it is. And I think it is a whole shift from where drug issues were and what drugs people were doing 10 years ago, 20 years ago to today, fentanyl has really been a game changer. And maybe because it's so serious, I'm hoping you're looking at numbers down the last year, that together that we can collaborate as City of Sparks and with our region and all the other partners that are in this space to make a difference and really message to families and to kids. And if you have family members you're concerned about, it's just, you can't just sit back and wait because it could be too late. So thank you again for the work you and your team do.
Mr. Abbott.
Thanks for everything you do in the community, Mr. Firestone. If there's anyone listening from the community right now, I know many of us taken tours. Are tours available? I know we've talked about how to administer Narcan. I guess, what can the community do to help you out today?
Well, I love that notion you just brought up. Tours at the Life Change Center really seem to help tell that story, and people feel more free to ask questions. I really find that to be great. And if you want to post any information so people can contact me directly, that's something that we feel our duty to this community is to give people the education they need. And you mentioned Narcan. If I could tell a little story about that, I think it is so important to recognize this, that Narcan really is the CPR of today. And like CPR, we can get the training, but we may not want to do it. Those that do want to use and engage with CPR or Narcan, I call them, just for lack of a better term, lifeguards. That mentality, that thought, that when you see a problem, you engage. What I would like for the parents of teenage, of 20-year-old people in our community would do is talk to their kids about them being a lifeguard, sell it to them that way, because perhaps if a young person sees themselves as a lifeguard, they may actually choose differently if they have the opportunity to use a recreational drug at a party. They may react differently, so that's what we could do. Please post any information on the Life Change Center myself. We'd love to give tours. And the Narcan that we have, we do not charge for. Anybody that would want it, we would give it to them.
And I appreciate you giving out the Narcan. I keep it in the backseat of my car. I don't consider myself a lifeguard, yeah, but I appreciate us giving that as a tool for our community to have and be ready to help someone out in our community at a time of need. So thank you for everything.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. You want to vote?
Yeah.
You sure?
I'd like to vote.
The mayor.
I'm just looking for a motion.
Well, we were waiting for it on the screen.
Ms. Vanderwell.
I move to approve the donation of $25,000 to the Life Change Center in support of their mission and objectives.
Ms. Bybee.
I will second that motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Firestone.
We're a minute for a photo of the check presentation. That'd be all right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Get a check.
Yeah.
Already printed.
Yeah, check.
Who signed it? Oh, it's a big check.
I got a real one in there.
They didn't tell me about the check.
I just heard him talk when I walked. Did you go on that tour? Were you with us? Yeah, but all of us were.
Yep. Yeah, it was pretty amazing. All right, let's move on to 9.3, consideration, discussion, and possible acceptance of a traffic safety grant AC 6072 in the amount of $31,000 to participate in the State of Nevada Department of Public Safety Office of Traffic and Safety 2025 Joining Forces Program.
All right. Good afternoon, Mayor Lawson.
Sergeant or Lieutenant. What are we up to? Captain. I'm just guessing. Chief. I didn't know you were retiring.
Good afternoon, Mayor Lawson and members of City Council. For the record, I am Sergeant Sean Congdon. Before you today is a request to approve acceptance of a State of Nevada Department of Public Safety Office of Traffic Safety grant in the amount of $31,000. Funds will be utilized to participate in the Office of Traffic Safety 2025 Joining Forces program. The funds, there is no impact or direct impact to the general fund to participate in the program, and the grant will cover the costs associated with officer overtime. The goal of the Joining Forces program is to unite Northern Nevada law enforcement agencies for collaborative enforcement efforts during scheduled traffic enforcement operations within our region. Pedestrian safety, seatbelt safety, distracted driving, and speed enforcement are all examples of traffic enforcement operations. At this point, I would like to answer any questions that you might have.
Questions from the council? Ms. Bybee?
Sergeant Congdon, I love this program, and actually I just had you out on Vista with me, really talking about speeding and traffic safety and the Joining Forces. One of the operations had just happened the week before. Could you share like some of those, do you recall some of those numbers of how many citations and just in the last, I mean, it's really impactful because, and gets people to slow down for a bit, but those numbers are really quite staggering.
Yeah, so for last year, we issued a little over 2,000 citations for various speed-related offenses to include reckless driving, obviously speeding, and those types of citations. And then this year, we're on our way up to about 1,800 so far already this year, which is, it is a staggering number. And we talked about when we were out doing our interview on Vista, our roadways in the city of Sparks and the number of roadways that we do have speeding problems. It's definitely an issue in the city of Sparks. So the traffic officers are out in force, and if you get caught speeding, there's a good chance you will receive a citation. We're trying to curb your behavior and slow you down and in turn save lives on our roadways.
Because we have had fatalities.
Yes, we have.
Unfortunately,
We've
a
had
lot have been speed-related fatalities.
A number of speed-related fatalities in the last year. This year, thankfully, our numbers are down just a little bit. Hopefully, we can keep them that way and be able to reduce our numbers for this year.
Mr. Anderson.
First, I want to say thank you for bringing this to us. This is great. I'm sure all of us up here are hearing more often. This is actually one of the biggest concerns coming from our citizens. I've talked to two different parents of kids that are going through driver training and voicing the concern that their kids are seeing people running lights, speeding, making illegal turns, all these kind of things. And they're saying, how do we teach them proper driving behavior when it's so prevalent in our community? So I appreciate the work you guys are doing, the effort that you're putting into it. And then I have a technical question. I see in the agenda, the amount is different than what we're seeing in the system here.
Yeah, the amount is up just a little bit from last year. That was just a mistake on the $28,500. That was from the previous year.
So it's actually the $30,000.
It is the $31,000.
Okay.
Where are you seeing the 28 at?
In the summary
In
sheet.
the explanation.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but the motion will be for 31.
Okay.
Anyone else? All right, I'm looking for a motion then. Mr. Dare.
I move to accept the traffic study grant, traffic safety grant, AC 6072, in the amount of $31,000 to participate in the State of Nevada Department of Public Safety, Office of Traffic Safety 2025 Joining Forces Program.
Mr. Anderson.
I'll second the motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to promote you all the way up. You see all these promotions, I don't always keep up on exactly what level they are. I think I got a lieutenant in the audience too now.
You got two of them.
Hey, I can't screw that
I
one
won't
up.
say that who they're here for, but nobody. No.
Okay, 9.4, consideration, discussion, and possible dissolution of the Sparks Police Advisory Committee, originally established by resolution number 3383. Chief.
Good afternoon, Mayor Lawson, members of the City Council. For the record, I'm Chris Crawford, your police chief. I'm before you today with a request to dissolve the Sparks Police Advisory Committee. The SPAC, as it was referred to, was created in an effort to combine community member input with transparency. The members of the committee have been absolutely wonderful and provided great input for the police department. However, the timeline requirements placed on this committee have increased unnecessary workload on the police department while resulting in input from members that is not timely. Traditionally, law enforcement agencies utilize an advisory panel. Such a panel is able to be utilized in a timely manner to solicit critical and effective input from the community members without additional workload. This allows the members and the law enforcement director to assist one another in achieving important and timely improvements and critical information sharing. I plan to create a Chiefs Advisory Panel in place of the SPAC. This will be held at the Sparks Police Department and will be held as often as necessary, as determined by myself and the members of that committee. All of the current SPAC members have expressed a desire to stay involved, and I have also been contacted by several other members of our community who I work with routinely who want to be involved. With that, I recommend dissolution, and I'm available for any questions.
Questions from the council? Okay, then I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Abbott.
I move to, I move to dissolve the Sparks Police Advisory Committee originally established by resolution number 3383.
Ms. Spivey.
I'll second that motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Quick question.
How many members are we thinking for that committee?
Right now it's at 7, but I'm looking at, with the input I have, likely 10.
Okay. So if anyone is interested, just have them reach out to you.
Yes, please.
Cool, thank you.
Okay. Motion and a second. No further discussion. Please vote. Motion carries unanimously. All right. 9.5, consideration, discussion, and possible acceptance of the U.S. Department of Justice Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services Technology and Equipment Program grant for the federal year fiscal 2024 in the amount of $520,000. Chief.
Good afternoon, Mayor Lawson, members of council. I'm back again. For the record, Chris Crawford, your police chief. Before you today is the possible acceptance of the grant award from the U.S. Department of Justice COPS Technology and Equipment Program for the federal fiscal year of 2024. Don't have me explain that. They're even more difficult than us. In the amount of $520,000. There is no city match required. This is for technology improvements. This grant will help to improve public safety measures by integrating advanced surveillance technologies. Specifically, the police department intends to expand the coverage of ShotSpotter, a gunshot detection system that has been in use since 2022, as well as incorporate cutting-edge gun detection software incorporated with current city cameras and the future real-time intelligence center that we're working on. These initiatives are strategically designed to address the escalating gun violence problems by significantly improving response times and law enforcement's abilities to respond to incidents quickly and accurately. In conjunction with ShotSpotter, the introduction of gun detection software represents a proactive approach to crime prevention. Gun detection software uses advanced AI and real-time video to detect firearms and live video feeds and alert law enforcement within seconds of detection. This capability improves not only situational awareness, but also officer safety and the likelihood of apprehending armed suspects. The project strategically aligns with Sparks' overall public safety goals, emphasizing community-oriented policing and encouraging cooperative partnerships with both government agencies and community stakeholders. Collaborations with the city IT department and other departments ensure that new technologies are seamlessly integrated into existing infrastructure, thereby increasing operational efficiency and effectiveness. And I would like to thank all of our congressional delegation for their continued support and their involvement in this specific one. Staff recommends approval, and I'm here for any questions.
Questions from the council? All right. Mr. Anderson.
Chief, I just want to commend you for working on this and getting this grant. This is the future of policing, I believe, as far as being able to add security to a community, not necessarily having to put more bodies on the street. But really, the way I see it is it helps you solve crimes, but even more importantly than that, it's going to help prevent the crimes. So I just want to say thank you for this kind of project. This is exciting to see this, so thank you.
Ms. Spivey?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chief, for those who don't, I mean, we all know, but not everybody watching maybe understands the Spot Shotter software and what that program has done for us. How long we've had it, and kind of what your results you're seeing already on responding and our response times and how that's improved that. Could you just give a real quick overview of what we've done with that so far and will continue to do?
Absolutely. The ShotSpotter technology we've had in place for just over a year. We're seeing that just as they had advertised that 90% of shot fire calls in our city are not reported to 911. We have actually had a homicide that occurred in our city that no one called 911, and because of the fast reporting and accuracy of this technology, one of our officers was on scene within about a minute and a half. So, and then, which obviously leads to high solvability. In that case, we were unable to revive the individual, but it does get us on scene with our fire and paramedic partners in a much quicker time frame. We also have assigned a detective full-time to follow up on shootings that occur where there's no victims, to really start to combine all the different casings and track down those firearms and those individuals.
Okay, anyone else? All right. Looking for a motion, Ms. Vanderwell?
I move to accept the U.S. Department of Justice Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services Technology and Equipment Program grant for federal fiscal year 2024 in the amount of $520,000.
Mr. Dare.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. And that's a pretty good chunk of money. Good job, Chief. 9.6, consideration, discussion, and possible acceptance of a grant from the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services Hiring Program grant for federal fiscal year 2024 in the amount of $500,000, with the city of Sparks matching of approximately $1.4 million over 4 years. Chief.
Good afternoon, Mayor and members of council. Back again. Chris Crawford, your police chief. Before you today on this one is the possible acceptance of the grant award from the U.S. Department of Justice COPS Hiring Program for federal fiscal year 2025 in the amount of $500,000 with a match of approximately $1.4 million over 4 years. This grant will provide partial funding for 4 full-time positions that would form a new misdemeanor follow-up team. Things like your larcenies, your vehicle burglaries, kind of your lower end things. The grant provides greater funding in the first year and tapers down over the next 2 years. Funding from the COPS office is limited to $500,000 over the 3-year period of the grant. A 4th year for each position must be fully funded by the city. This would be considered new positions and would require an increase in the sworn complement of the police department by 4 positions, 3 officer positions and 1 sergeant position. The police department does not believe this unit can be staffed until the summer of 2026 due to current staffing needs. This is the same grant that is in its final year, which created the neighborhood policing unit. It is, I have to give a shout out to Becky Jostin, our grants administrator, because all of this is because of her and making me look good. So I thank her for that. And she's doing a phenomenal job. It is pretty uncommon to have 2 hiring grants at the same time. The primary objective is to enhance response times to online crime reports and prioritize the investigations of misdemeanors. In 2022, there were 4,800 misdemeanor cases reported, increasing to 5,100 in 2023. These cases encompass offenses like retail theft, harassment, stalking, trespassing, property destruction, disturbing the peace, and other quality of life crimes. The department's strategy involves intensified prosecution efforts in collaboration with the City Attorney's Office, partnership with the Nevada Organized Retail Crime Association, and the development of community outreach programs targeting underserved populations. Once again, I'd like to thank our congressional delegation for their support with this grant as well. I recommend approval, and I'm here for any questions.
Okay, questions from the council? Not, I am looking for a motion. Mr. Anderson.
Move to accept the U.S. Department of Justice Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services Hiring Program grant for the federal fiscal year 24 in the amount of $500,000, with city matching approximately $1.4 million over a 4-year period.
Mr. Dare.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Good job, Chief. 9.7, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of a 5-year contract, AC 6073, with Axon Enterprises Incorporated to provide body-worn and vehicle cameras, tasers, drones, Fusus software?
Fusus.
Fusus? I mean, grew up next to a Greek, so you pronounce that Fu. Fusus software, interview room equipment, professional standard software, video evidence software, and related equipment and software for all systems, with a total contract cost of $4,570,393.92.
Thank you. Good afternoon again, Mayor Lawson, members of council. Last one for me today. For the record, Chris Crawford, your police chief. Before you today with a new contract with Axon. As you are aware, we currently have a contract with Axon, who provides the police department with body and fleet cameras. We are in our final 14 months of the current contract. The new contract is a 5-year contract with a total cost of $4,570,392.92. The new contract provides credits related to the early end of the current contract. The first year payment will be due on January 1st of 2025, and the funding for that is currently budgeted within the police budget. Some of the funding related to body and vehicle cameras has traditionally been funded by Washoe County E911 surcharge funds, and we will continue to submit for the same funding in accordance with state law. The new contract will provide many additional new and/or improved tools. We will receive and be trained on the most up-to-date taser. We will receive updated drones and technology related to our current drones. We will be purchasing the following new technologies: virtual reality equipment and software, Draft One, which is an AI-based software that creates an initial narrative from the body cameras, and Fusus, a software that incorporates many of our technologies into one place to improve our future plans for a joint partnership with the Reno Police Department on the build-out of a real-time intelligence center. I do, with your permission, have 2 shorter videos that describe specifically 2 of these, if you're willing to let me play those.
Go ahead.
Breaking into vehicles around the Walnut area, but the officers were able to keep an eye on them thanks to advanced technology.
The drones helping police de-escalate gun confrontations, catch drug dealers, and put away violent criminals.
Time and distance saves lives. Drones and robots can extend our vision, mostly by providing better situational awareness to inform better response strategies, where you can use them not only to observe, but to communicate, and when needed, to act, to help force multiply your agencies and keep your officers further from harm's way. Drones will become first responders. It's called DFR, Drone is First Responder. They've changed the game for agencies in search and rescue, scene reconstruction, emergencies, natural disasters, or managing large events. Axon Air takes our ecosystem into the sky. We built this as the foundation for our DFR program with remote piloting capabilities that allows drones to fly across the city and get to scenes faster than a patrol officer ever could. Agencies are reporting that drones are getting there within minutes of a call for service.
We're getting on scene in 3 minutes from the time the call comes into dispatch.
As soon as they hear hot call, they can deploy the drone. They can respond out to scene, provide information for officers even before they arrive.
This information helps you get the right resources to the right place at the right time.
We know a lot about the address we're going there, but the thing we don't know is what's going on at that time. And to be able to see what's there and be able to respond with that information makes it a lot safer for our citizens and for our officers.
One of our hardware partners, Skydio, piloted with advanced AI, it can travel up to 45 miles an hour for up to 40 minutes. And the sensors are pretty incredible. They can read a license plate at 800 feet, and using unrivaled thermal imaging, they can detect a person on a roof in total darkness.
We had a missing persons case, searched the area near they were last seen, and within 20 minutes we were able to find this person. It was hours of darkness, so we were able to use thermal to find them. It's a very dangerous situation, but it turned out very well.
Up until now, DFR has required a visual observer on a rooftop watching the drone in direct line of sight. We believe there's going to be a much better way. Dedrone, who's leading the way in overcoming these limitations by giving you the ability to see drones with superhuman capabilities. They are the global leader in airspace security, fusing real-time data to detect and track low-flying aircraft without visual human observers, with superhuman sensor array observers. Dedrone Beyond is a solution optimized for DFR. They are proving that an array of sophisticated sensors can track, detect low-flying aircraft, and eliminate the need for a person on a roof, and it can do a better job. We were very excited to announce our acquisition of Fusus, the people who created real-time crime centers in the cloud. Fusus weaves Axon Network into your fabric of your community and creates a seamless link between community and public safety, connecting any camera or sensor into a single platform, a single app, all accessible by your real-time crime center or even by officers in the field from their mobile device.
Being able to see in one platform all the stuff working together is critical. Instead of having to switch screens and switch programs, we're able to do everything we need to do in our primary programs.
One of the big challenges is breaking down the silos of where different pieces of information are kept, and with Axon's ecosystem, it gives us the ability to bring in all of this information, take that data, analyze it. It's been a game changer for us. One of the most advantageous things for us is the partnership between Axon and other technology groups. The ability to listen to what our needs are and bring those two disparate systems together has been absolutely amazing for us.
Not every department can have a K9. Not every department can have air unit, but every department can have a drone program.
Avenue South, currently separated the neighbors at 29211.
Hey, I'm just pulling you over. You're going a little fast to the school zone, okay? It's 25 miles an hour and you're going 35.
Technologies that are listed on there, we have tested all of them with high success. So they're really excited about the draft one specifically. It's actually creating a narrative they have to go back in and do when they get to the station. But the 3 hours of paperwork afterwards is pretty common for us as well. I recommend approval and here for any questions.
Well, I remember my dad was a cop in Vegas, traffic officer. He had a callus on his finger from writing so much. I'm sure we have some of our police officers in the same boat. You got to write that much. Ms. Vanderwell.
Thank you, and so excited to see the technology and how it's moving forward. My only question is, I realize that we're almost ending a 5-year contract and getting into another 5-year contract. How much more is the new contract, either by dollar amount or percentage, from 5 years ago?
It's about $1.5 million more with the new drones we had in the past. We purchased through them on a separate contract. Mm-hmm. And then Fusus is a brand new thing we were looking at that's about $60,000. So some of these things, they actually bought Fusus, even though we were going to buy from Fusus about 6 months ago. So it's about 1.5 roughly.
Okay, well, and that's a pretty good for a 5 year, so thank you.
Mr. Dare.
When do we anticipate this? We found that ordering fire trucks takes us 2 years. So what, what does it look like when we are ordering this stuff? Is this something that we could see next year rather quickly and implementing it?
The majority of it will be January of 2025.
Oh, very soon.
So we'll see the new cameras, the vehicle cameras, they replace once in the lifetime of a contract. So that's already happened. So that's a couple years out. The body worn cameras, we're still about 2 years out of replacement of that. The tasers will be in January. The new equipment for the VR stuff, that'll come almost immediately. The drones will come immediately. And then some of the higher end technology will actually be us slowing the process as far as the drones and getting to know them. So the majority of it comes into play almost immediately.
And then my other question, and I only say this for sake of public requests and all the different things that happen, is there somebody that's keeping track of what is happening, going back and reading through the script at all to make sure that it's accurate? How does that work?
So that works the way it showed right at the end. The officers actually have to come in, and if there's something that the body camera didn't pick up, they have to write it. So it's just a pre-narrative, and they have to go through and they have to review it, and then they
Okay,
have
that's what that
to
was.
input
Okay.
their own information. So it's truly their narrative.
Thank you. It's good.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I love both of these. And really, when you look at the drone technology, which I've been a huge supporter of from the beginning, the response time, how quickly. So we've got ShotSpotter that we know where there's gunfire, but in just response time to all incidents, to respond more quickly, makes it more safe for everyone, our officers and for our residents and businesses. And then obviously with the reporting, the draft software to allow less time doing paperwork and keeping more officers out there, on duty. And I just think it ups our game as far as our efficiencies for the city itself. And I think in turn, bottom line, the benefit is to everyone, to our businesses and to everyone living in the city to have a more efficient, more effective police department, and thanks to technology, we're able to do that. So thank you for bringing this forward. I'm full support.
Chief, is this the first iteration basically of getting to where we have stationary ports, let's say, for the drones? And as a call comes out, then they dispatch to the place immediately? Or
That's what we're in partnership with the Reno Police Department with their new building to build out a real-time center, which would actually we have 6 certified pilots that are working on that. So our estimate is a 2-year timeline to do exactly what you're saying. It also, the Fusus allows us to ask the public to utilize their camera systems if they're willing. So they can give us some of their cameras, none of their cameras, all their cameras, and we can actually, without calling, just access it with our crime analysts and pull all that together. So yes, that's where we're going with a rough estimate of a real go live, at least part-time, in 2 years.
I like it. I like the safety for officers. I like the quick response, everything about it. Just good stuff. All right, any other questions from the council? If not, I'm looking for a motion. Ms. Vanderwell.
I move to approve a 5-year contract AC-6073 with Axon Enterprise Incorporated to provide body-worn and vehicle cameras, tasers, drones, Fusus software, interview room equipment, professional standard software, video evidence software, and related equipment and software for all systems with a total contract cost of $4,570,393.92.
Ms. Bybee.
I will second that motion.
We've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. 9.8, consideration discussion of possible approval of a contract AC 6069 with Porter Group LLC for federal government affairs consulting and advocacy services for 1 year in the amount of $97,800.
Good afternoon, Mayor Lawson and City Council members. For the record, I'm Allison McCormick, your Assistant City Manager. The city regularly engages with Nevada's congressional delegation and federal agencies on a variety of matters, from appropriations to grant funding to regulatory matters. As such, the city has a need for professional federal government affairs and consulting services. We are seeking approval today of a contract with the Porter Group to provide those services. The Porter Group was founded by John Porter, who served in Nevada local and state government for many years before being elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. Porter Group also represents several other government agencies in northern Nevada and is familiar with the unique issues that face our region. If approved, this contract would take effect on December 1st and run through November 30th of 2025. The fees would be $8,000 per month for the first 6 months and $8,300 for the last 6 months of the contract, for a total of $97,800. Staff does recommend approval of this agreement, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the council? Ms. Spivey.
So Allison, this is only a one-year contract. In the past, has I know we're switching from the advocacy representative that we had on the federal level before. Do we traditionally just do a one-year contract, or how does that stand? Renewable in a year or no longer?
Historically, we have done a 2-year contract with options to renew every 2 years. Given that we're switching groups, we wanted to do a 1-year contract to kind of test the waters a bit, but I would be surprised if we're not seeking approval of another contract in a year.
Perfect, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Vanderwell.
Thank you. Is this about in line, same dollar amount as we were paying the previous DC lobbyist?
It is more.
Okay.
Our current contract with them was for $5,000 per month, so it's a pretty substantial increase.
Okay.
However, we had not had our fees increased with the prior group for several years, so we were anticipating an increased rate from them as well.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Mayor?
I just think it's important for anytime we see an increase, our community understands. One of the things we're walking into, from grants to different things, cities, especially across Nevada, we see major increase in grant help, where I think that money will be quickly compensated by some of the grants and things that we'll see. And that's been proven from different things they've worked on. So I think it's a good deal. Thank you.
Okay. Then any other questions? If not, I'm looking for a motion. Ms. Spivey.
I move to approve the contract AC 6069 with Porter Group LLC for federal government affairs consulting and advocacy services for 1 year for $97,800.
Mr. Anderson.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thanks, Allison. 9.9, consideration, discussion, of possible approval of a new 3-year Microsoft Enterprise License Agreement, AC 6071, for personal computer, client access, virtual desktop, and server product licenses in the amount of $380,992.76 per year, for a 3-year total of $1,142,978.28. Mr. Brown.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of council. Rich Brown, your IT director, for the record. As the mayor just stated, this is a new 3-year agreement with Microsoft that covers the entirety of the Microsoft product suite that we use. And that covers everything from the operating systems we need to run our laptops, desktops, servers, and also includes business applications such as email, some security products, mobile device management, so we can keep track of these things, and a growing use of a robust reporting suite they have called Power BI. This agreement covers all of that. This constitutes about a 12% increase from fees alone, in that we have a $140,000 increase from the prior 3-year agreement, the majority of which is additional use. More staff using software, additional software systems being deployed. But when you get right down to it, the actual fee increase is a little over 12% for this agreement. And this will carry us through to the fall of 27, and this expense was anticipated and planned for in the fiscal year 25 operating budget in the general fund. And with that concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the council? Not, I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Abbott.
I move to approve the 3-year Microsoft Enterprise License Agreement, AC-6071, for personal computers, client access, virtual desktop, and server product licenses in the amount of $380,992.76 per year for a 3-year total of $1,142,978.28, and authorize the IT director to finalize the purchase through CDW-G.
Mr. Dare.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, Rich.
Thank you.
All right, 10.1, public hearing, consideration, discussion, and possible approval to retain Marcus Auerbach, chartered, to represent the city in various labor and employment matters as needed at the rates of $250 per hour for partners, $210 per hour for associates, and $125 per hour for law clerks and paralegals. Allison.
Thank you, Mayor Lawson and City Council. Again, I'm Allison McCormick, your Assistant City Manager. I am seeking your approval of a contract with Marquis Auerbach Chartered for legal services in various labor and employment matters. Just by way of history, in May of 2022, the city manager executed a contract with the firm with the rates that are stated in the agenda item. In January of 2024, the legal fees that had been billed by Marquis Auerbach had exceeded the city manager's contracting authority, so staff brought the contract to City Council for approval. City Council approved the contract for up to 1 year and up to $75,000. Since then, the firm has continued to provide invaluable legal assistance to the city in complex matters with specific procedures such as arbitrations and nuanced disciplinary issues. Because Marquis Auerbach is representing the city in several pending matters, and the firm's billings since January are approaching $75,000, staff wanted to seek additional approval. Therefore, staff is seeking your approval to continue that representation as needed under the same hourly rates that applied in the original contract. Council may approve the contract for these services on an as-needed basis, subject to budget authority for outside legal counsel. Or council may impose additional limitations on approval of the contract, such as another 1-year term or limit of $75,000 or both. A public hearing is required, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, any questions from the council? Who monitors the total?
Cindy does,
Cindy?
Miss Bogan. We have it.
What triggers her to bring this to your attention or Dion's attention?
So the way that we have it set up now for this contract and others is that we enter a purchase order for the total amount approved by council. And then if we're approaching that total, finance will flag it for the department who's paying those bills.
You have someone from finance? Bogey? Or, okay, that's good for me. Go ahead. You have something?
Yeah, I did. So, because I remember when this came back last year because we had exceeded it. So are we working with the city attorney's office to make sure there's not duplications or the possibility that our city attorney's office could handle some of these cases to help offset this cost?
Yes, we, anytime a new issue arises, we are coordinating with the city attorney's office to see whether it's something that they can take on or not. This is mostly on pending matters.
Okay, and we've already reached the 75,000.
We are very close. It was $66,059.96 at the end of August. So
we'll be quick over it
Yep.
before the end of the year.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Duncan.
So, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, I think too for the council, just so you know, with both when Chief Crawforth was in the seat as the acting city manager and now with Dion, a lot more transparency in terms of where we're at in terms of the bills. I think the other thing that's important to highlight is that there are existing matters. There are employment matters. For example, if an employee the city is taking disciplinary action on them while they're in the scope of their employment, and then say they also simultaneously get sued, there's an inherent conflict there. So someone always has to represent on the employment side so that the city attorney's office can take the more expensive and time-consuming litigation on the other side of the house. And so this is for some existing matters that are there. Dion and I have also, we have a meeting set up with finance to go through, since set November, to go through this, but the transparency within our office and the city manager's office has been very good since Chief Crawforth, and so we have, I think, a better handle on the contracts that are coming.
Shouldn't we really raise this to 100,000? Isn't that the city manager's signing authority at this point?
It is at this point, but given that this is kind of an ongoing contract, and we do want to continue the representation, we wanted to seek your approval.
So this, okay, so we got to run this through fiscal. I'm trying to straighten it out in my brain here. Why we wouldn't just do the 100,000 and then when it goes up to 100, we reapprove it.
Certainly, you have that authority to do.
Yeah, Mayor, we wanted to present you with options on that front so that it was transparent and give you different ways to look at it. As Wes said, we're matching notes pretty closely and making sure that we're looking through each one of these before we move forward with anything. And I think our system is still evolving a little bit, but I think we're making good headway. And I think our new approach should bring a lot of transparency and hopefully we can bring some of these to a conclusion and minimize those moving forward.
That would be what I think, but obviously that's up to the council to make that motion. But I mean, I think we need to align everything with the signing authority we've given our city manager and not kind of micromanage here. So, Mr. Dare.
I don't know if we need to change a motion or do something, but I'm sorry?
Yeah, we're ready. We're going to open it for public comment first.
Okay, well,
Before you
I'll
make
make
a
a
motion,
comment.
if you
I'm not
have-
making
yeah.
a motion.
You got-
I just want to make a comment. I agree. Actually, I'd say everything needs to line up to what was agreed upon, and I know I appreciate you coming to us, but I think it should line up to that, and if anything goes beyond that. If not, it just kind of take a step forward and step back and that kind of thing, so.
I think one of the issues was that, we had previous thresholds for what could be approved, right? So there was an ordinance passed that empowered both the city manager and the city attorney's office to have to work together up to a certain amount. I think the issue was we had been exceeding those amounts, and so I think the city manager's office, city attorney's office wanted to bring that back to you to do that transparency, because quite candidly, we'd blown through those thresholds under previous regimes. So, and then there's sort of a legal question of, well, there was authority at some point that was granted. Have we overrun that authority? So bringing it back to you, hey, as part of the motion, you could say, I give Dion and the city attorney's office authority up to X amount of dollars. That was that process we talked about empowering the city council with the appropriation power for outside counsel. And so I think that's what these efforts are trying to do. So.
Madam Clerk, does any of this make sense? Good. You want to conjure up all right, so while you're doing that, I'm going to open it for public hearing. Anyone in the public wishing to comment on this item? No one having, we'll bring it back to the dais, and we're going to see if we can come up with a motion here shortly. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves. Put it as 100 and not to exceed. Yeah, if it's not to exceed 100, and then it comes back anyways.
Well, yeah, maybe that's a good way to put it, not to exceed the city manager's authority.
Yep.
Because that could change.
Yeah. I just think they need to match up. I don't think we want to, I don't want to visit this mid-contract every single time.
Yeah. I'd like to stop spending so much money.
And it's only $25,000, not See what I had him do for me. We have it all listed. Confused. We do it at RTC and I never have it. We better keep doing this.
Mr. Mayor, if whoever is wishing to make the motion is approving of the motion that is up on the screen, then you may proceed.
Not to exceed 100,000, is it per fiscal year? Do we need any clarity on that?
I don't know that we do, Mr. Mayor. But obviously, it's up to
Contract
whoever's.
period, or do we have a contract period? Just for the clarity.
I defer to Mr. Duncan. My view is that you don't need a term. It's on an as-needed basis as we send work their way. So when we get, or if we get up to that.
If it doesn't exceed 100,000 for 2 years.
Yeah, so in that case, Mr. Mayor, the council would be appropriating $100,000. It could go to 5 years, right? It could go 10 years.
So when
Or
it hits
if
that
you-
number, okay.
If
Perfect.
you want it to come back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me now. Does it make sense to the council?
Yes.
All right. Well, then we're looking for a motion. Ms. Vanderwell.
I move to approve retaining Marquis Arbach to represent the city of Sparks in various labor and employment matters as needed at the rates of $250 per hour for partners, $210 per hour for associates, and $125 per hour for law clerks and paralegals for an amount not to exceed $100,000.
Ms. Bybee.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thanks for working through that with us. We have no planning and zoning public hearings. Let's go back to public comment from the public. Anyone in the public wishing to speak at this time? Seeing none, we'll bring it back. And announcements from the mayor, city council, city manager. Mr. Manager, you have anything?
No announcements, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Anyone on the council have anything? Ms. Vanderwell?
A reminder that the tremendous Sparks vouchers for trees, today was our last day and our last 100. So if anybody is, wants one of them, please check with our Parks and Rec department to make sure they haven't been out. I was there earlier this morning and they still have some vouchers.
Okay. Mr. Anderson.
Just wanted to let people know that this Friday, the 18th, the grocery outlet on Audi Boulevard will be holding a safe trick-or-treating event for kids called Trunk or Treat. And it's actually going to be a fundraiser for the nonprofit Sleep in Heavenly Peace. It'll be held from 5 to 7 at the grocery outlet on Audi Boulevard. If you want to be a sponsor, come with candy and $20. Unless you're a business, they're asking for you to donate $50. Lots of candy for kids and a safe place to get it.
Anyone else? Now you have something.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor, Deanne Loughton, your city manager, for the record. A big thank you, honestly, for the police department's efforts to help find alternative funding to do a lot of really good programs that are going to benefit the city in the long term. And he and his staff do a terrific job. His folks who put in for those put a lot of time, effort, energy into making that happen, and that is worthwhile. Thank you, Chief, to you, your entire team, for all you do on that front.
Okay. Ms. Bybee.
Doesn't want me to talk. Yeah, I would just like to give a big shout out. Some of us were up at South Lake Tahoe last week for the Nevada League of Cities annual conference, and we had presentations by our city attorney, Mr. Duncan, and we had our city clerk's office that were there and did some trainings to share with mayors, city council, and staff from across the whole state of Nevada. We had rural Nevada there, southern Nevada. We were there representing the north, and it was an amazing conference with a lot of resources, a lot of ideas and things that we're bringing back. I have to look through my notes. There's so many things I want to kind of look into, but thank you to our staff who is part of that amazing training to benefit cities and municipalities across the state. Thank you.
I got great compliments on our clerks and their presentation, and everybody thought that Julie was in charge. And found out Lisa was in charge, and they said, you have 2 outstanding clerks. And I said, yep, we certainly do. So thank you. Mr. Dare.
Yes, tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock at the Aces, or where the Aces play, the field, they're doing a big thank you to our fire department, who helped with the Davis fire. And so if you want to come out to that, I think it's a free event. There'll probably be some fundraising to help those who are still dealing with what happened to their homes. But obviously a big thank you to our fire department still. We're still in the middle of fire season. I know some more fire department are still out fighting fires as we speak. But tomorrow night at 6, you can head out there to the Aces Stadium, and it'll be about an hour event or so. Thank you.
Then one last thing for me, we had the Mayor's Cup on Friday. Thank you, Parks and Rec. We raised money for scholarships for at-risk youth so they can participate in our sports and after-school programs. And everybody plays golf in that. A lot of them that don't play very well, but they do have a good time anyways. And there's always a ringer. So who won the tournament, Nancy? Can you tell me that? Was it Tony Pele's team? No?
Edon won.
Edon won? All right. A new winner.
They shot a cool 52, which is incredibly good.
It's 20 under.
Honest though?
Shot an honest 72 myself.
All right. Well, it was a fun time had by all. Thank you very much, and we are adjourned.
Wow. Who did Edon have?
We had Larragetta. Larragetta's a ringer.
But he's not Edon.